This is the beginning of the podcast with special guest Freedom Andy, who is connecting by audio right now.
Hello.
Freedom Andy, how are you?
Hold on.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there he is, baby.
Yeah.
Freedom Andy. Andy, how's Freedom treating you today?
You know, it's been a good day.
Been
It's been a good day on this side of the border.
I had a moment today where I was like fucking we were unloading a roller, a vibrating double barrel roller thing that I borrowed from my buddy Rob.
A bow mag.
No, it's a Wacker Nielsen.
Oh,
We don't fuck with no bow mags over here and fuck up with no. Anyways, and I got on it and I started driving it, and then one of our guys was going to stay to do it, and I said, you know what? I need a couple hours of driving this little baby roller thing in my life right now. I need to clear my head. It makes me feel like I'm, I don't know, 15. And I'm going to drive this little roller, pack in this regrind driveway that we were doing all day. And it was mind numbing to me. And it was just such a great experience. I was like, all the shit that I do and all the terrible things that happen, that 2 hours made the whole fucking last 2 months worth it. That I could just drive this little roller looking ridiculous. I probably weigh more than it. I was adding to the pounds per square inch of packing power of this son of a bitch. And I just loved it. And it was like 2 hours. I was so happy doing it. It made my whole fucking month. I was just so excited. It was awesome. Do you guys have stuff that happens like that where you're just doing something and you're like, man, I just forgot about the whole world of fucking shit. Paying people, making fucking payments, getting payroll, paying the government, not being able to sell my communism hats. No one is buying those fucking things.
You know, I lost opportunity. I don't know why I don't have a freedom hat. I told you all I'm going to do here is laugh.
Freedom Andy.
I can't. I mean, this is what an opportunity. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, I feel like you were gracing us with your presence, not us gracing you. I totally 100%.
My wife was like, I was like, hey, I want to. Is it okay if I go on this podcast tonight? She's like, oh, what is it? I'm like, it doesn't matter.
And that's the truth.
There's just no way for me to explain this in a way that you're going to understand.
I like
so she didn't condone it?
Well, I mean, she has no idea what this is. I just said I'd like to be on this podcast. Cool. Sure, go ahead.
And then he said the words that everyone who listens to this podcast knows. It doesn't matter. It quite literally doesn't matter. Anyways, that was what happened to me today. I love those little rollers so much. Because I think when I first started, we had one of those double barrel rollers with a big stick on the end, and you had to push down, turn it. I don't know if I'm too much older than you guys to have ever used those. You had to crank it with a wheel to get it going, and it would go. And
that's the bow mag.
Yeah, you push down. Yeah, bow mag. Yeah, and when one of those sit on, because I spent a lot of time doing that in playgrounds and parks and on pathways and stuff when I was younger. And then someone showed up one day with a ride-on roller, and I was like, wow. That is like the greatest invention ever. You don't have to. And running one of those little rollers is one of those things that looks like it takes zero fucking skill, like zero skill. But if you actually want to like get to the edges and not create a lot of divots, and it's a skilled job, man. You got to be good on that thing. I don't know. I just loved it I love it so much. I was so happy to do it today. I couldn't even think of anything negative to say about it for Caleb.
So you're going on the auction to buy one of these rollers, are you?
I started talking to Drake. I'm like, how much are these things? Man,
They're expensive.
I have a lot of expensive shit I never touch. Could I sell some of that shit and get one of these things and just drive it around the yard? Maybe just drive it up and down the road to the yard. I don't know. I'd find something for that thing to do. Telling you.
This is just a normal sit-on roller, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm super fascinated.
No, but I rented one for a job. We did a paver driveway 2 years ago, and it was an extremely enjoyable experience.
See, he knows what he's talking.
I would agree. I got on it, and all worries were gone. I just was rolling, and there was nothing else I could do at the time except roll. And
And
I would love to own one myself.
the thing I love about them is there's that moment in time where you've taken your hand off the forward backward stick and you're charging at something and you reach behind you and you miss it. And you're like, shit, where is that thing? I'm going to drive the fucking house. Motherfucker, you're pulling on it. Like, it's just, if anyone who's run one and you reach and that stick's not there, Chad, Mike, and you are in trouble.
Over.
You are going into whatever building you're aiming that thing at. Like, and they're also tippy. Well,
Yeah, I don't do well with tippy machines.
no,
You don't. I'm surprised you don't own one, Chad.
We have a tiny, like a little green walk behind one that is, I mean, nowhere near as good. That's what you guys are talking about. We used to have one of those big bow mags with the double roll. They're the long stick, and
yep.
You crank the thing up, and then nobody could turn it. So it was always the low man's job to operate this thing, and it almost killed someone one time. So we retired it.
I remember
seriously, he put his foot in a sonotube as it was coming back at him, and it almost ran him over. Like this thing, if there was no safety to it, right? Like, no. So now, like, I don't even think it's allowed on the job site anymore.
That thing just keeps chugging. I remember I forgot to hit the wrong stick, and I was like pinned against a house, and it was like, it's like concussion my chest, and I'm like, oh my god, what stick does what? Like, those things are dangerous, man.
They are dangerous.
You don't see them anymore. I guess probably too many rental companies got sued, so now they have these little. Plus, we're lazier as a society. There's the whole walking behind it thing. I mean, now everyone wants to sit and ride. Yeah, you can't.
You can't have that. No way.
It's the euphoric experience they're going for. They don't want to walk when they could ride.
It's euphoric, man. It was the best thing that's happened to me in a long time, was driving this little roller. Like, I loved it so much. I don't know why.
This is an about face from the last couple of weeks where you've been down in the dumps.
Yes, yeah. It's amazing what a small roller does for you. What's really interesting is that Rob, who owns the roller, calls it his greatest mistake. Because I called him today and I said, "Yo, Rob, can I borrow your greatest mistake?" And he immediately knew what I was talking about. And he's like, "Yeah, it's in the yard on that little single axle." He has one of those single axle tilt and load trailers. The thing's sick. I've never been around one of those before either.
A single axle tilt and load.
Yeah, and he puts like his MT on it, I guess, or his buggies, or
that could be super handy. Yeah.
I've never been one of those ones where it drops down and you just drive off. It was sick, like, because that roller thing would be a pain in the ass to get on any of our floats for sure. Like, I don't know how you do it.
I had my first experience with the tilt deck trailer this weekend, actually. After I picked up my dog in Toronto, I had to go down to the Hydro Seeder dealership because our seeder shit the bed last Friday, and we drove it out to the repair shop. They fixed it Friday. I picked it up Saturday, and when I got there, I was the only one
there.
Did
the new dog enjoy the trip to the Hydro Seed shop?
I think so. She was very quiet.
That's like introducing this new dog, saying, "Listen, dog, you're about to learn that you are second to landscaping. Yeah. Anything that happens in my life is secondary to landscaping. So come with me to get."
She's lucky if she's second on my list.
Get to this hydro seeder. Anyway,
she's a lot lower than second on the list. Anyway, I pull into the hydro seeder dealership, and my trailer's at the back, and this lady is there in her Super Duty, whatever. She's got one of these ride-on. Do you guys know what an SR3 is? It's like a rake.
No.
Basically, it's a giant rake that rakes the ground. You could put it on your skid steer. This was like a standalone unit. It was like a lawnmower that had a rake on it instead. And she's like, "Can you help me unload this thing? The guy that was supposed to be here isn't here, and I don't know how to drive it." I'm like, "Well, I don't know how to get it off your trailer. I never used a tilt deck before." But I'm like, "It can't be that hard." So I'm like, "Can you unstrap it at least?" She's like, "No, it's for my son's business, and they just sent me up here, and I don't know how to do any of this stuff." I'm like, "You drove a tilt deck tandem axle tilt deck trailer through Toronto, found the dealership, and you can't even unload it? Like, if I didn't show up here, what would happen? Like, you would have been here for hours." Like, because it's Saturday, nobody is supposed to come here.
She knew her landscape daddy was coming.
Yeah.
And
Did you
look-
introduce yourself as that?
Yeah.
No.
Hi, I'm the landscape
I
daddy.
don't go around calling myself the landscape daddy.
Let me unload that trailer for you.
No, like I was on the phone talking to her son. He's like, you just have to kick the pedal and pull the lever, and I'm like, okay. And so we got the thing off, and I parked it. I'm like, may want to take pictures of this and figure out somewhere to put the key. But like, I'm not responsible for this thing as soon as I leave here. I don't know what happened to her, but
You just left her. Later.
well,
Listen, I got this dog and this.
I didn't get her there.
I live in
Are you sure she
Cornwall.
wasn't going to get her home?
I live in Cornwall. See ya.
Landscape
No, her-
daddy out.
Yeah, that's it. Like it must have been her sons must have been my competition somewhere along the lines because they're from Ottawa, surprisingly
Mm.
enough. So
She drove from Ottawa to the hydro seeder.
she drove from Ottawa to the hydro seeder.
Who sends their mom that knows nothing on a mission to get a hydro seeder?
She
I
apparently her kids were out doing a big hydro seeding job, and they couldn't do it themselves.
so did you bid again? You should have asked her what job. What general are they bidding for?
No, we don't do that much in Ottawa. So, but it could have been one of my jobs that I lost. But
So you
there's
had,
enough work to go around.
you've never used a tilt deck trailer before.
Not before that time. No.
Wow.
I
So,
feel like it's
I
an
just-
American thing.
Why?
It's a lot more free to have a tilt deck trailer.
It's a lot more free.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Have you had one always?
Yeah, I've actually had. So my first float, I know that's what you guys call them, floats.
Mhm.
Does it have to be a certain size to be able to call it a float, or any trailer is a float?
I think any trailer can be a float.
Okay,
If you're floating something, anything is a float.
okay.
How do you describe it? Trailer?
It's a trailer.
Okay.
But what do you
accept
say whenever you're moving equipment? Are you trailering equipment?
No,
If
I
you're
think I just say I'm going to move that piece of equipment,
uh,
or we're going to haul it over there.
All right.
I mean, I guess somebody would say I'm going to trailer. No, nobody would say I'm going to trailer that. Hey, man, I'm going to go trailer that excavator. They'd be like, what? But
So you
I'm going
guys
to start
say,
saying
I got-
float.
I got to move the excavator. Is what you
Yeah.
like? You say?
Like,
Hey,
I'm
man.
going to go. I'm taking the excavator over to that job.
Hmm.
Go hook up to the trailer.
See here, there's like people literally like there's a company with tons of drop decks, and they're called Cobra Float Service.
Huh.
Like that's the name of the company.
Wow.
I guess they're not getting a lot of work in Ohio. People be like, what?
I
Is
don't
that
think
where you,
so.
oh, you're from Indiana, right?
Yeah, Indiana.
All right, well, they ain't getting no work in Indiana.
No,
People be
no.
looking at that truck going, what the hell are they doing with that? I don't have any boats.
No idea what
No
floating.
boat there.
They would think it's a boat. 100%. 100%.
But their name is literally Cobra, and there's a few float services around here. That's all they do is float equipment around. Sure, it's the same in Europe and Indiana. These guys,
Oh yeah, there's
they're
tons
just
of move-
trailering equipment.
Yeah, they move equipment. I don't know. But
Maybe
anyways, my first trailer was a car hauling trailer I bought from my old boss, and then after that, I bought my grandpa had a tilt deck trailer, and that was the first time I'd ever used one. And I quickly realized how awesome they were. And ever since then, I've had tilt deck trailers. I have 2 of them currently, and I recently I just bought the second one, and I'm trying to sell my regular tag trailer that has ramps because nobody wants to lift ramps when you're free. So we just pull a lever and it just freely tilts.
I have the ramp. If you've got a Freedom tilt deck, I've got the ramps of oppression. Like these things are fucking heavy. Like it's almost a 2-man job to flip them back up.
That's what it is, dude. My ramp trailer, I'm just like, no, I don't want to have to lift those. Take the tilt deck.
Maybe I'll invest.
so.
Ramp of oppression.
Ramps. So Darian's trailer has air ramps.
Oh, that's
On our 30-ton float has air ramps to pull up. So where do they rate? Chad has the manual ramps of oppression. You have the tilt deck of freedom. Where do the air ramps rate? Like that's a
that's such a that is like the pinnacle of trailers. When you're like, click the button, it's like,
yeah, it's pretty sick.
And
Honestly,
you have to have airbags in your truck though to make that like you have to have wet lines or hookups. Like
yeah.
you
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
have like a hydraulic brake trailer.
Well, you could. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you could have that auxiliary. I mean, my new tilt deck that I just bought is a Benke, and it has a battery or a hydraulic jack that I just click a button. It's like
Yeah, I
a
got
little pump, just like a dump trailer would have, and it
Yeah,
lifts it up and down. I don't see why they couldn't just go to the ramps and
yeah, I suppose
lift them up.
electric. Yeah, I got an electric ram on my car hauler enclosed trailer there,
Yeah.
just because I was sick of always spinning the crank there.
Yeah, it's pretty much ruined everything for me because
Yeah.
now it's like I look at the other trailers, I'm like, nah, I'm not cranking that.
Yeah.
So when we need to get out from under the trailers with the triaxles, they just drop the air out of the suspension of the truck and it drops the trailer on the ground and you walk out from it.
Epic. Yeah,
It's pretty neat. Yeah, it's pretty. Well, it was. See, I was a winder of the things, and then Christy developed the dropping of the. She's got these wood blocks and shoved it under and just dropped it from the trailer. I was like, oh, that's like 800. Except the only problem is if you ever do need to crank those things down, you're fucked because they're so seized because no one ever uses them. Like, because everyone's just walking out from it. I believe that my favorite thing we own is the 30-ton trailer. I don't know. It's just something about having like a 35-foot, 30-ton trailer.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I'm new to floating equipment, like multiple pieces of equipment, and I think it's the coolest thing. Like, I thought I was going to be afraid to float a skid steer and a shovel at the same time, but like, you put the setup together and you just start heading down the road. You're like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
You are as cool as you think you are, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
you are.
Yeah.
I would agree. Anytime I see that, I'm like, that is the ideal setup.
Yeah.
He's doing everything better than me right now.
He's doing everything.
For real. It is so cool and so efficient. Oh my word.
We have a 20-ton tag too, but it doesn't have air ramps, so Darian very rarely pulls it.
Yeah,
It,
useless. Just
I was
sell.
gonna sell it, but then I paid $10,000 for it like 5 years ago. I'm pretty sure it's worth more than that now.
oh, for sure. It's
Fairly
worth more than that.
confident.
Yeah.
And to replace it is like 45 grand. I'm like, even if I use this thing like 10 times a year.
You only paid 10,000 for it?
Yeah.
Jeez.
But that was like 2018 when equipment was worth like, normal prices, or 2019, I think we bought
you
it.
didn't know it was going to be a good investment for your future.
Yeah, I didn't know my kids were going to retire off it. And we were going to talk about generational wealth off the fucking 2010.
Man, if only we could have seen this coming. Oh my word. The stuff I would have bought. Oh.
I remember the one year I debated if the most profitable thing I did was buy a C-Can.
Wow.
Well, because I bought this C-Can right before the pandemic. Like right before the pandemic, I bought this C-Can for like $1,800. And all of a sudden, people were like, "I'll give you like 10 grand for that C-Can." And I'm like,
Holy
going
shit.
on? They were selling for like 8,000. I'm like, what is going on? I was like, literally the most smart, savvy financial move I've made in my life was purchasing this ratty C-Can. I'm business savvy here. I should have bought 5 of them. Like anyways, now our C-Can's black. We painted it, so
It's worth more than probably.
People would look at it and be like, "Well, that C-Can's cool." We're gonna brand it. We're gonna put a Paver King crown on it.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually did some branding, which I never do.
Really?
Yeah, we painted all our bins and then we put crowns on them. I didn't put any actual contact information because I wouldn't want someone to actually contact me, but it made me feel better as a person to put the crown on. So I was like, but then I thought, like, we mostly just work for local landscapers, like with the bin trucks. I don't want to deal with homeowners on those things. So maybe a landscaper in Durham region, I think, would see the crown and know whose bin it is.
They know who the king is.
They would know whose bin it is. Yeah. So I thought, well, that's enough advertising, I guess, for like, it doesn't, if I put my name on it, it was like, I have a friend who has a bunch of bins and people call him all the time and complain about the bins being different places. And I said, that's because you have a QR code that this goes to a complaint form.
Yeah.
So I have a crown. I have a crown. So
do you ever get anyone calling you the king?
there's a vast amount.
I use the king.
That's how you refer.
That's what if I was in your area, I would say I'm going to call the king. I need to get a box.
Is Chad just the daddy?
Yeah.
My workers just call me daddy.
Yeah, right.
I swear to God, at first it was just daddy, and now some of them call me father, and they're all about my age, if not older. So I don't know.
I think that's it. What does that say about your personality, Chen?
He's the provider.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess I'm the provider. Yeah.
Do you want to hear an interesting phenomenon at our yard? So we were doing some work up the side of the building. The owner of the yard had asked us to regrade the side of the building and get water to flow away from his building. And so normally a lot of people park there. So I sent around a single text message that said, "No one park at the side of the building for a couple days because we're going to do some work there, and I don't want to have to move all the cars." So this is like 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks later, still no one is parking at the side of the building. They're still parking in the field and all different places. This is from a single text message about what I would deem to be a crazily unimportant item in our business's life. Now, on the flip side, our yard is a shared residence with someone who lives in the property. And there's another residence behind our yard. And so I have spent a vast many times saying, we need to be respectful. It's early in the morning when we start the trucks. Don't let them idle too long. Don't shine high beams into some 7-year-old kid's fucking bedroom across the field. Like I have talked about this stuff repetitively. This is an ongoing thing. I've talked about it many times. So this week, one of the guys jumped in his car, rolled down all the windows, turned his stereo on as loud as he could, and drove 50 kilometers out of the yard past the house of the people that own it. And I thought to myself, what did I do that was so effective in my text message that said, don't park at the side of the building for a few days, that stopped people from parking at the building for 6 fucking weeks, as opposed to all the times I've asked people to be respectful in the yard? I need to find out where the disconnect is with my communication, because I need effective communication, like when I don't need people to park in a place. Like the whole day I'm like, I don't understand what went on here. I don't get what's going on. This is important shit. This is totally irrelevant crap. Let's listen to this, but not listen to that. Like whatever. Anyways, do you guys have that experience? I'm not if you need someone to not park somewhere in your yard, call me. I got the text message. It'll set you up for weeks.
Just copy and paste, send
Copy
it
and
right.
paste.
Yeah, you could sell that. I mean, just that, like
The proprietary text
a
message.
training course
Yeah.
on communication.
I don't know if anyone wants my training course. We started with a scheduling app, and that's gone really well for us. And all the guys like it. They get their schedule on their phone, and it comes through. And I like the scheduling app.
Like the bins and stuff.
So we used to use the Apple Calendar to do them.
Okay.
And so we switched them. The trucks all got organized in the Apple Calendar, but I wanted something that was more for everybody. So now, like, the 6 field staff get their schedules, and if I need them to do different things, I can update it. And I can actually, in this app, you can list tasks, which is super awesome, because if they're working at the yard, I'll be like, here's 7 things you need to accomplish. And when you accomplish it, press this check mark and it'll tell me you did it.
Yeah, maybe add one of those check marks that says turn your music down.
Don't drive 50 kilometers an hour out of the yard, like kicking up dust, like it's someone's fucking house. I don't know.
Okay.
In general, our people are really good, but this whole, like, not shining lights in people's windows and letting trucks idling is a personal. And then it's a personal thing that drives me nuts, because I'm like, man, fuel's, like, in our country, fuel's $2 a liter, $1.85. I don't know what that converts to in gallons.
I have no idea.
A lot more than, what do you guys pay per gallon?
Right now, diesel is like maybe $4.50 a gallon.
How many liters in a gallon, Mike?
Oh,
Come on,
how
Mike.
many liters in
Sorry.
a gallon? 3.785.
So we pay $1.82 times 3.785.
I'm a landscaper. Where's my calculator?
Oh, dude, you are a know your numbers man.
I am about to know my
Don't try
number.
to come on here and pretend that you're a fucking landscaper. We need 3.78 times
6.89.
So yeah, we're paying $6.90 a liter or gallon.
Gallon for wow, that's a lot. Man, that is oppressive.
It is impressive.
That's impressive.
I want the freedom price. Well, that price is actually a lot for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be a crazy.
No, I'm talking like what you guys are paying now.
Yeah, it is high. Now it's come down in the last year or so. We were at $5 for a little bit. Gas is cheaper than diesel. There's been times where diesel's cheaper than gas, but right now gas is pretty. I mean, we're in the threes for gas, $3 a gallon now, for gas. But yeah, I would be a little more conscientious of the conscientious. I can't even say it, of the idling. I guess if that was that much, that's like I said, oppressive.
Yeah, well, right now, the leader of our oppressive country is trapped in India because his plane can't get off the ground. I didn't make that up. Like every other person is gone from the G20 summit, except the Canadians are all sitting there because our planes are so old they can't get parts for it, and he can't get out of the country. They had to send another plane to go get him because the other plane they don't know when it'll be fixed. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this was like a climate summit. Now we got 2 planes flying all over the place for these people.
Like well, you don't have a president. What do you have?
Prime Minister.
The prime minister's plane is not running appropriately.
No. So they sent another plane. And on top of that, they can't even
Like in
find
America,
the parts.
they send one Air Force One and another one follows just because.
So you don't know which one to shoot down.
Yeah, they're like, I'll just send another one. It's not that much.
And so this guy, they can't even get parts for it because now they did say on the news that we just got a used Airbus. We were buying some used planes for the prime minister. I was like, wow, that's a sad state of affairs.
He's not worth much more though, the fucking guy, than a used plane.
My word.
His net worth is a lot.
No, but as a
personal net
human,
worth-
He's not
as a
spending any
human
money on
being,
planes.
his worth
No.
to the country is less than a fucking.
Oh,
used
it's not
plane.
high. Yeah, I guess the prime minister of India gave him a beatdown in the summit, in public beatdown or something. It's like a whole bunch of stuff I didn't even know was going on because it's in like British Columbia. There's some kind of like India considers them a terrorist group, and we're supporting a referendum about breaking up India that they're having in British Columbia, which seems super weird. I feel like they should have that referendum in India, but I don't know the particulars of it. So, anyways, it was, and then he was going on about how we would always support peaceful protest. I'm like, yeah, unless it's in our country, you know, I
yeah.
don't, like whatever. It's just but yeah, he's stuck in India. So
There you have it.
there you have it. Did you sell all the Freedom hats, Andy?
I have 2 Freedom hats in my closet.
Ooh.
But you're keeping
Have-
those.
And for now.
Freedom sells.
You
Wonder
know,
if oppression sells.
No,
I sold out of those. I think I sold 25 of them. A lot of freedom
Wow.
out the door.
a lot of Freedom went out.
Yeah, did. It was more expensive to buy the Freedom than it was the other hats, but that's how it goes. So you got to pay.
Freedom isn't free.
Did you
Freedom
mark
isn't
them?
free.
Did you mark? Well, but they were for 4th of July, right?
Or 4th of July. Every year, I'm going to come out with a new Freedom hat,
On the 4th of July.
limited edition.
Can you? Well, Mike says that you have to come out with your merch and say that it's limited time only.
I think it's a good idea.
That's the best way to sell anything. Literally anything.
If Mike would get off his ass and do something, we'd have our own stuff. You know, like
I'm being oppressed on this
Yeah,
podcast.
if he spent less time stealing other podcasts' music and more time,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That we could talk about that. I mean, it sounded so familiar. I don't know.
no idea where it came from.
No,
None.
it
No
caught me
idea.
off guard. I immediately turned it off. It was so annoying. The music just
When you took the job indoors, did you plan on it raining just for the Instagram?
yeah.
So you could go on and say, we're indoors. Like, how long had you been planning that story about?
But we just kept waiting
Everyone
until
else
it was
is-
going to rain. Yeah. And that way all my competitors could feel unproductive that day.
Yeah.
And I could just be like, I don't know. I mean, we're just
You
productive.
actually said to the guys, don't work in that area. It's
Yeah,
not
just
raining
wait.
yet.
And then it was a rain, and I'm like, immediately go inside.
Go in there and do some work. I got to get on the gram
Yep,
and
I'm
brag to
very busy,
everybody.
very
Yeah.
busy.
Made me feel bad. My crew was going home. It was raining here. I saw you working indoors. I'm like, God, this guy is just so much smarter. And then it occurred to me, maybe he's been waiting for this moment to make everyone else feel Look at me with my indoor project. Mr. Fancy Pants with my Freedom jib and my indoor project. I thought that did work out pretty slick for you, though.
it did work out pretty good. And also, this is 2 weeks before, it was like the hottest day of the year, like 110 degrees, super hot. We literally happened to be working indoors for that time too.
Oh, God.
And I'm just like, you know what? This is just sometimes squirrel finds a nut, So
is that going to be an indoor outdoor pool, like where people are going in and out, or?
yeah, I mean, there's a couple like garage doors that will go up, and then like screens that will come down, and so then the patio is gonna around the pool. There'll be a threshold where the door would be, of course, but then you could pretty much it'll all be the same level, so you just go in or out, and in the summer, and then of course in the winter they'll be able to close everything up and have it be nice and warm and whatever. So it's super cool. So, but yeah, I'm not sure what we'll do the next time it rains. We might just go back in there and again
Pretend to do work.
Yeah, just find something to do
Do
inside.
the poly sand.
Yeah. Whatever we need to do. Frankly.
If the poly sand doesn't get hard there, do you think it will because the poly sand is indoors? Like that's, I've never heard that one yet. I've heard about it being a leaf fell on it. I've heard about it getting too much water, too little water,
cold,
wrong
time
far.
of the year. Yep.
Yeah.
Not the right bristles on the broom. I mean, seriously, you have to have poly sand brooms now.
Not the right. So, are you going to get a rep there when you install it indoors? Because I feel like there's a potential here that someone might bring up the fact, hey, this is indoors.
Well, it never got hard. I mean, we don't do this for indoors.
It's not indoors, man.
Your fault. Sorry.
Needs the wind.
Yeah,
there's no wind in here.
No wind.
No fucking wind to harden it up. I don't get what's going on. I just don't understand. I just saw that and I was like, wow, that's going to be a whole new problem.
We actually aren't doing any polysand inside because the Unilock Sereno paver has no like nubs on the side to create a joint, and so the plant doesn't want any joints, so it's going to be set tight. So there will be no polysand job at all. So, that's how they wanted it. They didn't want any joint, which it's a blessing for me because without the spacers, I would have had to use like tile spacers or something, and that would have been an absolute nightmare.
Is that paver designed to have no joints like that? To look more like a sheet of glass or something?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know why. I think it's the way that they manufacture it and how I think it's made like vertical or something. Like it feels like a wet cast product, but it's not. But
Thank God.
Thank God. Well, yeah, if it was, I mean,
thank you.
You'd have 3/4 inch tolerances. So
yeah, totally acceptable too.
Yeah, and to be within their,
you're crazy if you even bring that up.
No, it's not. It's just it's just the product. You just have to deal with it.
That's the way it's made.
Yeah, I mean, you can fix those differences with polysand. So
even though one's like bent and twisted, so that like one corner is substantially not that I've ever.
No.
So that they actually made that to have no joints. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, and I was really actually worried to use it like the way we're using it because different experiences in the past, you lay a bunch of things that are tight and then they're, if they're supposed to be 16 inches wide and then some of them are a little bit thinner. And I mean, this thing is so crisp and clean and if they weren't perfect, you would see it so fast. I mean, it's too many layers out and your line would be all over the place, but it's been, I'm actually really impressed with it. Using it like this. It's very hard. Like we have to be so picky with this edges, like no chips of any kind. Like there's probably 8 pallets of pavers that I can't use off of pallets that we've used because any imperfection, you see it all. So, but whatever, they'll just refund me for what we don't use and get me new product, whatever. I mean, they're supposed to sell a perfect product, but if you had joints, you would not see it near as much.
Yeah, it would hide it. Like a 1/4 inch strength. So, did you see? I like the video. There's a video getting passed around of some guys swinging slabs over a pool, and the slab falls into the pool off the vacuum lifter. You haven't seen it?
No.
I was just wondering when you were going to come out with yours.
I would never show that. Really? Where is that?
I don't know.
That's Green Monster Landscapes.
Oh,
yeah.
Someone dove in and got it, right?
Yeah, I think he did.
Was it a liner pool or what was it?
I think it's it looks like a fiberglass. Really?
Oh, is it?
It looked like a fiberglass pool to me, but I don't know. It just
Okay.
because it was all one color. It was, liners are always multicolored. Like
Oh yeah, right.
they're not like that sheer color like a fiberglass pool.
Oh, I
Yeah.
gotta see this.
I was just wondering when you were going to come out with your attempt at that viral video, Andy.
I just sent it to you, Andy.
Just do
I
it.
mean, I gotta see this.
Yeah,
it's
and then the pavement. It's a big slab, so like getting it out of the pool is a problem.
yeah. You see, like he goes in and then he has to walk to the shallow end with it.
Oh.
It's like keeping him
Yeah.
in the water.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of suction tool was that? Is that pave tool? I mean, tool
Oh,
pave?
tool pave. Yeah, yeah.
What
We have a great relationship with
hose,
those
though,
people
right?
on this podcast, Andy. So
What's that?
we have a great relationship with them on this podcast. So don't screw it up for us, please,
Yeah, I won't. I'll
by saying it was their suction tool. No, we have like zero.
I think that's a concrete pool. It's got a tile
Oh yeah, I can
banding
see that
across the
now.
top,
Yeah.
maybe,
like concrete pool.
which is probably
That's
Better?
the best. Yeah.
better.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, you have the
that would be
best
the
of a
best.
bad situation.
If you had a
A
liner,
liner would
that would be-
tear,
Yeah,
that'd be-
especially when it went down the side there.
that stuff they coat the concrete pools in, though. It's not very tough. It's like
Plaster or whatever.
yeah,
it's some kind of
plaster, yeah.
it's like a plaster thing.
Yeah.
Holy cow! I would be freaking.
My heart would sink.
Holy.
We
cow.
don't have very many company policy rules, but one of them would be never ever are you going over a pool with a paver or anything.
Oh man, that gives me anxiety watching that.
Oh man. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I watched. I was like, "Ooh, that's not good." I've seen like we knocked some 4x8s in a pool once, and I was like, "Oh, that's bad." Never mind full slabs that are like suspended 6 feet over the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just can't believe that fell off of there. Something had to have been wrong. I mean, I don't know.
It's a fair sized vacuum lifter thing. Like it doesn't look like it's underpowered for
No, I don't
You
think
just-
so.
I-
doing that
It
with
looks like it was run off a compressor though,
Yeah,
not
it's air powered, so it's
yeah, like air
possible that
compressor, not a
they didn't have enough flow, or their compressor got too low. I mean,
or
like
snagged on something.
oh yeah, and if they don't have any kind of alarm or something, like some of them, or any kind of gauge, like the one that we use a lot has a gauge that you can see, and
Yeah.
we've had times where the bottom of it gets where it sucks the air through, gets like too much dust in it, and then it won't put enough suction on it.
it's hard to get it to lock.
Yeah, or I mean, we have had them drop off before. I mean, never. I mean, luckily it's usually by the pallet, but that now I think we had one at that big job last year where it dropped and fell onto the patio. And then we started realizing that we had like too much dust or little whatever particles built up underneath it. And so then we are constantly now checking that because, yeah, I mean, I guess that could happen. I mean,
We've
crazy.
had
Did it land on any lights that were in the patio in the ground?
no, thank
No.
goodness.
Thank goodness. Yeah,
Yeah, because they would be done.
they would be done.
I don't
They-
want to do paver lights.
I think it takes a lot less than
Do you do paver lights in patios like that?
I have done them one time, and
How
I will
was that?
never. Well, I've gone back and replaced 3/4 of them.
Really?
Never ever do them again.
In how long of a time period?
The year after, 4 of them went out, and the year after that, we had another 10 that went out, and then
Oh
I
my God.
changed them all. No, yeah, oh, dude, it was and there was the little ones from Light In, and yeah, and of course, I was the one that did everything wrong. I drilled the hole wrong. I put them in with the wrong hammer. You must have forced them in.
Prussian hammer.
I mean, everything was my
Didn't
fault.
use
It
the
felt
freedom
like
hammer.
it felt like a polysand. It probably was a polysand issue. Like I used the wrong broom over the
really?
lights when I swept the polysand in, and so then that's why the lights got condensation in them, and so
Probably you put too much water.
too much water.
I didn't know they were going to be out in the rain,
It rained way too much.
so there was a lot of rain.
It rained way too much.
That's one of my favorite conversations I ever had with a material rep. We bought some wet cast slabs when they first came out from the supplier, and I didn't know much about them. And so when we pulled them out, they had efflow running down them because they were vertical in the skids. And they had efflow trails, and the wet So when we put them down, I called the supplier rep and I said, "Hey, bro, like what gives with this?" And he's like, "Well, it's because the water, it flows the same way when they're in the skids. It always flows on the same patterns. So that's why the effluent develops. But when you lay them, that won't happen." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, dude, like water always follows the same path. Like it doesn't suddenly start running uphill in August and then in July run downhill so we don't get any effluent on your fucking slabs. Like, what are you talking about?" I was like, "Man, I've heard a lot of gobbledygook from reps before, but this is the worst." I was like, "Okay, man." He's like, "Well, we didn't know they were going to get wet." And I'm like, "They're fucking slab or outdoor patios." I was like, I feel deeply that you're not going to help me, so I'm just not going to have this conversation anymore. And
I'll just take care of it. Yeah.
I will just put these to the side and then stack them back in the skid and return them like there's nothing wrong. And they can sell them to some landscaper who doesn't give a shit. One time we were at the supplier with a bunch of rejected slabs. And as we unloaded them, they were loading them into some other guy's trailer and he was driving away with them. And they're like, "Yeah, he doesn't give a shit." I was like, "Okay, perfect. Glad to know."
I've heard guys do something at my local supplier where they'll bring back a pallet of pavers and they'll put a bunch of nice say they're smaller ones like Brussels or I don't know, whatever, something small, and they'll stack them all, but then in the middle they'll put like a bunch of cuts or something. It's full layers. like what do you think? They don't know who returned that when they go to what is wrong with people?
Or maybe people think, well, I can't fathom spending that kind of time and thinking that was a money-making proposition. Or
yeah, and surely the boss is what told them to do that. Like, hey guys, just jam the cuts in the middle. It'll look like a full layer.
It'll look like a full skit. Yeah.
We used to get that quite a bit, actually.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How did you confront them? What did you do? Like,
well,
what was that phone call like?
When I was just the yard guy, I would just radio it up to the office and let them deal with it. But yeah, you knew which contractors would try to do that.
Oh,
and then you could tell, especially when we went from vertical stack to layers horizontally, you could tell because the mesh wasn't in between the layers. Yeah. So you're like, okay, that's suspicious. We need to check that.
That's been restacked or whatever. Yeah. Put the ones that are chipped upside down or whatever happens. Yeah.
It was harder when it was vertical because the bands weren't cut. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah. When it went to layers, it was very easy.
Oh, now we know.
Yeah.
I think too, like when I started, pavers were like $2 a square foot or $1.50. So people didn't care as much. But now it's like $12, and then it's $12 a square foot, and it's a slab that's 3 square feet. So it's like a $40 slab that's garbage because it's got a chip out of it. You're like, okay, I'm not wasting $1 here on this one I'm throwing away. It's like people probably try to squeeze more in or save them or do something with them. Like it seems like they're just because each slab is worth so much. Like how much are those single slabs that you're doing worth? They must be worth a fortune.
Oh man, I can't remember what it is to a square foot. $10.50 a square foot.
Perpetuated in Canadian is like $30.
That would be the oppressive price. Yeah. So I mean, they're 16 by 32. So however many square feet that is. Again, I'm not good with numbers. So,
Mike,
how many square feet is that, Mike?
2.75 something. I don't know.
So whatever. I mean, they're expensive.
It's a $30 slab.
No, 3.5.
3.5. So yeah, it's a $40 slab.
Yeah.
$35 slab. What's tax? Like here we have a 13% tax. What's tax in Indiana?
7.
Oh my.
13%?
Yes, yeah.
That's brutal.
It's the oppression rate.
It's
my goodness.
That's why they don't.
However, much more on gas too, right? Like it's not like gas on its own has no tax. That's whatever we pay. We already pay like 50% tax on gas or whatever it is, and then the 13% on that. And
you pay tax on the tax and gas.
Yeah.
Goodness sakes, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have, I don't know about what it's like there, but we have this thing, like this day in June where everything that you made up till that day in June technically goes to the government if you're working like a full year, right?
Oh, I
think
if
you were to quantify it that way. Yeah. So it's basically halfway through the year and half of your money goes to the government.
And we still have shitty planes that we can't get out of India.
Like all that money, and you still have to send another plane.
So have to say, well, part of it is because the plane in American dollars is, 10 million. In Canadian, it's 40 million. Like we literally
Plus
have
tax.
to print the money to pay
Plus,
plus 13%.
That is wild, man.
Yeah.
You have income tax too, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to get in.
There's some states by us that don't, like, I think Texas doesn't have income tax, I think.
Yeah,
Florida
it doesn't like Delaware and
Yeah.
Florida and all
No
that.
income tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Florida
Oh,
has no.
amazing.
That's why the basketball players can go there and play on the lower contract.
Oh.
Not that any basketball players ever left Toronto to go there and win championships, but that's it. But it could be,
I know nothing about sports.
so Chris Bosh took less money in Florida because he didn't pay any tax.
Oh, there you go. Smart guy.
Yeah, which allowed them to form like a super team because they were all playing at a reduced rate, but they were still making the same amount of money.
Got the
Which-
taste of freedom.
They got the taste of freedom, baby. The taste of freedom. I do.
Oh man.
The amount of tax we pay in this country is outrageous. It is an outrageous.
Yeah, that is a crazy amount of sales tax. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you're all making it, so you're surviving.
This is a staggering number to me as a person. We've been using Mike's program, so we've been, knowing our numbers to extent, I guess to my own extent. But I figured out that we pay $700 a day in what do they call it when you give the money to the government for the wages, Chad?
the money for the government for
Like
the
you
wages.
give
Payroll
your-
taxes?
Yeah, payroll tax. But what is it? It's called something.
It's the
like,
money to the government for the wages.
oh, it starts with an S. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on
Source
it.
deductions.
Source deduct. We call them source deductions.
Source deductions. Okay.
Yeah. So our source deductions are $700 a day. Every
Wow.
day.
Every day. No
day.
matter what.
Well, it's based
Wait,
on the. It's
I
like it works out to like 28% of the hourly wage of each employee.
Really?
Whoa.
It's like 24% or 26%. So I figured ours out, and it's like if we all work full day, like if all the guys work full days, and the women work full days, we would top out at about $745 a day in source deductions.
Holy
Which is-
shit.
Like that's just it's just daily, every day. It's a grind, and I'm like every day I wake up, I'm like, we need to make $700 so the government doesn't take my house. Like past payments on cars, past or trucks or past machine payments, they can come take all that shit, and I can still live. But if you don't pay your source deductions, they come for your house. Period.
Oh, yeah.
The government don't mess around. So, I'm like, even if we can't pay anything, I will.
Having $100 a day. Almost.
I will look over my shoulder for a hitman before I will screw with the government taking my house. Like it's the last. Yeah, but we employ 3 drivers and 6 field staff and myself and Kelly. So we employ 11 people, and on average, our source deductions are $700 a day, which I find to be a crazy number. Honestly,
Absolutely.
it seems
Absolutely.
insane, like totally insane. But
Should be
that's
cheaper.
so I feel the same. Like but that's just we have to contribute to their EI because they contribute to it, and we contribute to all the other stuff. Or it's just,
EI is their retirement.
no, it's their
Employment insurance.
employment insurance.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't know what you guys call it in the
Yeah, workman's comp. Yeah.
Okay. So if they get laid off, they collect workman's comp.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They,
So
have
that's
to apply, they have to apply for it. But yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Do they have to prove that they've been looking for work and stuff while they're off in the winter?
Yes, but there's all kinds of ways around
Yeah.
that, of course, just like everything else. Just fill out a certain amount of applications or whatever. And that I had tons of problems with that during COVID, where everybody was abusing the work comp or the unemployment benefits, and then they would be required to fill out whatever 20, 30 applicants a month or 10 applications a month or whatever. And so you can get all these people that were applying. I would be advertising for an actual job, and they would just fill out applications and then you'd call them, so they have to have a certain amount of conversations with you or whatever, and then
Oh my God.
they would schedule the interview because they're required to do that, and then they'd never show. Like, and I had that multiple times. Like, I finally quit advertising because I'm like multiple times you talk to them. I've even had people where I met them. I said they could start the next day or whatever they were going to do, and then you'd never hear from them again because then they went to the interview, and that's what they needed to do or whatever they needed to do to go back to their unemployment. So it's really inspiring, frankly.
It's just
I mean, the work and the thought process to go through all that, like I couldn't even do that with a straight face. Like I am just people are just scummy. It's just like you went through all that work. Just go get a job.
it's easier to get a job. I
It's
agree.
easier to get a job. Yeah.
It is
Oh,
a lot of
man.
times. Totally agree.
So
It's
much
easier
work.
it's easier to just get up and go to work than try to live a scam.
Yeah,
That's my
they're so good at it. I mean, I got played hard. I mean, I thought I'm like some of these people. It's like, dude, this guy's gonna be awesome. Like excited. Seemed like they had, they're motivated. Whatever. They showed up on time. All right, great, man. We'll see you on Monday. Never hear from them again. Unbelievable. Just well. That's
Do
just
you remember that pool surround that I was supposed to do weeks and weeks and weeks ago?
Yeah.
Where the client or the pool company took the deposit
yes.
and never showed up.
Yes.
Well, they closed their doors for good last week. So my client's in small claims court.
Ooh.
How do you get money out
somebody
of
else we know? Or?
Hosted by.
No, this is a company.
You
What
got
was
to
it?
get down payments from somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
Where was their academy?
Dude, I'll never forget that news guy. It's so good how bad they roasted it.
oh man, they I've seen other ones of those. That was the worst one that they've done for somebody. It was they went to town on him.
Oh man, that guy deserves an award for that.
Oh,
news story.
That
Absolutely incredible.
how would you feel if that guy was hunting you down daily? Like just on you. Whatever I did with my life to bring this person into it, I need to stop doing that right now. That guy was just up and down that. I bet it was like a week of being up and down that guy just to get that footage.
Oh yeah, it was such great footage. Oh my word, he just kept itching himself and like, what are you doing?
Rarely a dude. So what happened?
A highlight of my year was all of that. Like, it was so just classic. I mean, it couldn't have gone better.
I think all those things come to an inevitable conclusion. That one just ended in such a public way.
Oh yeah.
I feel
Which
like
was fitting, right?
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh,
if you put yourself out there from the start, it's only fitting that it comes back around and that's out there too. For
yes.
the bad times, right? That's
Well, it's about having the right mindset. You got to have that mindset. Really, 10x.
What do you?
And it was a 10x news story.
It was a.
it was.
It really was.
Do you feel like they really leveled up in that news story?
They really. I mean, yeah. If I could explain what level up means, I would refer back to that.
I'm just always trying to level up. I get up every morning. I'm just literally trying to level myself up because I'm old and I can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'm trying to actually get out of bed and stand up level.
Tripping over the fucking dog, falling. I'm out of level. I'm like, man, I need to level up today. I gotta level up. I feel like I'm in the shower. I'm slipping because I can't.
What does it even mean? What does level up mean? Like, why would I want to be at the same level as someone else? What is the top? How far up do we have to go?
I don't know.
I get so worked up about this. What does it even mean?
I feel like it's
level up to who? Who are we leveling? Who are we going to? Where are we going?
Well, you got it. You can only compete with yourself. So,
right.
You're just leveling yourself.
So if I get up level, I should want to go higher.
Yeah.
No?
Oh, Obviously.
I mean,
You'll level up, Andy.
once I'm level, then where do we go vertical and level up that way? So we go
Sky's the
straight up?
limit.
The sky is the
Right?
limit. When
Is
you
it horizontally level or like what is the?
do you feel like that is like? Remember, we had an episode where we just read people's ridiculous gobbledygook shit that they were saying. I feel like that is like one of the top. Mike's favorite is
1 to 5. Can't use 3. Level up. Where does that go?
That was a good one. I love that.
Oh, that's a 1. That is
That's a 1.
Yeah,
Can't use 3. That was my. I just it was good stuff. Good content.
that's rare here. Well, I think the content here is sometimes entertaining, but rarely helpful.
Well, if you guys would just level up, it would be better.
Well, we're trying to. We can't get a sponsor to save our lives.
I don't know why.
I have no idea. Maybe it's our blatant criticism of everything that might sponsor us. That could be part of our issue. It's like,
There's got to be somebody that. There's got to be somebody that
that would see
that
through.
would level up enough to
Oh, we should run a level up campaign.
level up.
Level up. Sponsor the Not Our Finest
Like,
Hour
you need a
podcast.
company that like a level company to sponsor you.
Can we associate with you now? Like the Not Our Finest Hour podcast that one time featured Andy Mulder.
Yeah.
So now we could get some sponsors because there was one time that Andy came on here and can we
And
get some
we leveled up.
we leveled up.
We
We leveled up.
We-
And
I
once
feel like
you
we
level
leveled up. Yeah.
and you fix your mindset to be up with the other levels, there's
Are
no
you-
stopping. You immediately go to 11x.
Are you and Jeremy and Caleb a little bit scared of us bringing out the Hardscape Ignorance course?
It's concerning.
Do you feel like we might grab up
It's
some of your market to the Hardscape Mastery course? Because,
Our price point's higher with the tax.
our price
That
is
is
higher with the
$60, but it's still higher.
the oppression
Yeah.
that will happen from the tax. I mean, I don't know how you compete with that.
Do you think that Cornwall is a bigger draw than beautiful Fairfield County?
I think it'd be better if you had it on terrible. Isn't that what you say, Chad?
Oh,
That's- yeah.
Cornwall is in on
We're all
terrible.
from
Oh, okay,
Ontario.
okay.
We're all in on terrible. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That always makes me laugh.
it's on terrible.
I live in Ontario.
In this country, this is one of the. I feel like we're like to put it in comparison. It's like you living in New York or California.
It sounds horrible.
Yeah, well,
I
We're
think it's
living-
California with shitty weather.
that's
You guys should level up and move south.
moved. Well, we would need to move west to Alberta. That would be
Yeah,
that's where the freedom is.
Okay.
that's
In
our
this country?
Texas.
Yeah, Alberta's like Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, they have oil.
But with awful weather.
Yeah, they have terrible weather.
Oh,
It'll
But-
snow in July.
really?
Yeah, snow and
Yeah, they have
August.
squalls and stuff. And
That sounds horrible.
It's not great. Well, I've never been there to be honest. I
think
don't
of
know.
how tough a regular hardscape day is, and then it starts to fucking snow in July.
You
That
really
would-
have to level up then.
Oh,
That would
God.
push me over the edge if I was having a bad day.
I'd immediately go to 1x and go home.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Uh,
I need to get going.
all right.
hey,
This
thanks
is
so
the
much,
end,
Andy.
This is the end of Andy Mulder section of the podcast. Andy, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having
Awesome,
me.
brother.
I appreciate this, and I look forward to the. If you're gonna offer coupon codes for the what do you guys call it? The Oppression Summit, or what is it?
The Oppression Summit
That's a
is
better
good.
name than we came up with. That's
What?
why
I don't even remember what was it.
It was Hardscape Ignorance course.
Hardscape.
I looked up the opposite of mastery, and it said it was ignorance.
Yes, I remember.
So it's the Hardscape Ignorance.
Well, if you
course.
guys ever decide to offer coupon codes, I'd be happy to promote it, and we could all level up and
Sure.
really get on the same page.
Our
Awesome.
coupon codes actually add money to the bill. So
I think that's only fitting, really.
yeah.
That's about the way we roll here, brother.
Life's all about choices. So
It is.
Andy, really quick, where can our audience go to find out more about you and everything that you got?
Mulder Outdoors on Instagram and the Mulder Life podcast. Yeah, just that's about it.
If you don't already
MulderOutdoors.com. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And if you want to get yourself a Freedom hat in July next year, MulderOutdoors.com.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Limited edition.
That is the best exit ever. I fucking
Awesome.
love it. Yeah. Amazing.
Have a
Thank
good
you, brother.
have a good second hour, boys.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Have a
Andy.
great night.
Later. All right.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
That was good.
How are you going to top that for the worst hour?
I don't know. Maybe we should just pack it in. That was awesome.
That was great.
If you need your Freedom hat, go to mulder.com. Like, it's just fucking love it. So good.